The following episode might contain content that you might not be comfortable listening to. This might range from swearing to references to self-harm and substance abuse. Please proceed with caution and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. What makes you feel alive the most in life? Is it intimate moments with those you care the most for? Is it simply doing things you've never done? Or do you look towards other means for fulfilling the highs that you look for? Hello, my name is Hazy, who killed Hazy, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Only Rainy Days podcast. So I'm looking at the date right now, and I'm trying to get the schedule in mind. As long as I'm not somehow majorly fucking this up, by the time you hear this, I hope Thanksgiving was anything good for you. Anything good, whether it be good food, good time with family, hell, a fucking break from work or school, or just, everyday regular activities, whatever it is. I hope around this time that you've been doing well and things have been going well, especially with seasonal depression. But that might be a topic for another time. I don't want to get myself too sidetracked here because, as the title might suggest, which I feel like I say this every single time, and I never remember if I say this every single time. I'm here to talk about one thing and hopefully one thing only, which is thrill chasing. And there's two different ways to kind of go about the idea of thrill chasing. Some people see it as simply doing things they don't usually do. I know some people might think of like daredevils and stunt actors, stunt artists. I don't know which one is more applicable. But there's some people who do like some relatively outlandish shit just because the rush of the perception of your life being in danger, I guess, is something that people get a rush from. Parachuting, skydive, that's the same thing. Skydiving, bungee jumping. Some people do. I've seen some people take it to extreme lengths and they do just they just start climbing buildings and shit like that. Some people do it with support. Some people do it without support, just free climbing legitimate skyscrapers, which I think is fucking insane. It's not for me. Hell, if they want to do it, go for it. I don't even think about that type of activity enough to really even have an opinion on it outside of, I know for a fact I'm not getting close to that shit. I don't want anything to do with walking up to, the Sears Tower, looking at the top of it, and then telling myself, oh yeah, just give me some chalk and I could probably climb that. I don't know where people get those type of ideas from. I don't know how you figure out necessarily that you can do it, but I guess kudos to them, because if we ever need someone to climb up any sort of building, I guess we know exactly who to call for that type of service. Don't call me though. I'm not interested in that shit. But the other form of thrill chasing is, I guess it's similar to the first, but I like to see it as substance abuse, honestly. Substance abuse, or just sometimes people make knowingly bad decisions because of what follows it. And I guess this shouldn't be I want to make it clear just in case, a second time. This shit might get pretty fucking heavy here. But when it comes to thrill chasing in the second sense, I guess not in the extreme sports, or some people see as touristic leisurely activities. A lot of people do a lot of bad shit to themselves just because of the feeling that they get from it. And I would imagine, in a very vague sense, I would throw self-harm kind of in the mix. But substance abuse is self-harm. But I'm talking about you know what I mean. You know what I mean when I say self-harm. But sometimes people do that, and you get dopamine from that shit. But I would never recommend it. I'm gonna take this time to say right now, if you do indulge in self-harm, or if you even have the thought about it, please tell someone that a trusted individual in your life, and shit gets better. shit gets better. And I would hope that you don't have to resort to those things to try to feel anything as, time continues to progress. Talk it out, talk to a trusted official, trusted individual, family member, friend. Something heavy's on your heart if you get into that type of thing. And I know that it's something heavy on your heart if you decide to do that type of shit. I have indulged in that activity growing up, and already sidetracked myself. It's super early into it, but like, I used to do that shit, and I still got the scars from it, from at this point 7 going on 8 years. I still got all the shit. Not as if I did it yesterday, but it's visible still if you decide to actually look for it. But outside of that, there's a lot of people who just indulge in, substance abuse. A lot of people try to find happiness and comfort, which is more so bottled up in the idea of escapism through drugs, whatever drug they can really get their hands on, because it just makes them feel as if they're not them, or pulls them away from what they're currently dealing with, afraid to deal with, might be facing, this, that, the third, etc. Whatever it might be, people lean to that type of shit. Like alcoholism, that's fucking rampant. That is a rampant issue in at least the United States. I would imagine it's an issue in damn near every single country, because as far as every time I look into that type of shit, I have yet to see some sort of area in life, some area in the world where it's just like, oh yeah, alcohol isn't that big of an issue. Here in the United States, there's a lot of people who run around as alcoholics, both quote unquote functioning alcoholics and non-functioning alcoholics. And I'm not necessarily I'm stuttering here, because I always end up laughing instead of actually facing some of the things I think about and some of the things that define me head on, excuse me. But I'm ashamed it's gotten to this point, but I'm not afraid to say it. I am an alcoholic. Me personally, I am an alcoholic, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about this lately, where actually this topic came from. So shout out to my friends, because we were just kind of talking about this shit in general. But yeah, I use alcohol. I use it a lot. I use it frequently. I go on binges and benders for weeks and months at a time, to the point where it's just like every single part of life just seems kind of out of whack, out of funk. And because I have some friends who are like on the outside looking in perspective on thrill chasing through substance abuse, and we're just like, in general, they don't suffer from it, which is heaven sent to think about always, which seems like it should just be simple and it's the norm, but there's so many people that struggle with this type of shit. So I'm just happy for them that they don't feel urges to just use something and take something every single day, every single night. But they always would talk to me about like, oh, when's the last time, Hazy, when's the last time that you were sober? When's the last time that you just sat there and didn't take anything? Why do you keep indulging in these substances? Like, why can't you just quit? What would it take you to just quit? And sometimes it's laced in between jokes. Sometimes it's like adjacent to an intervention. And it's just like what some people don't recognize, whether you're in the mix or not of it. Some people don't realize that when you do drugs and you do shit, it's just like the highs are higher. And that's like all I'm focused on. That's the only thing I could possibly care about. And that's what people focus on. It's just like, it doesn't. I had a bad day. I had a mediocre day, right? fuck this shit. My brain is getting fucked up. I keep thinking about all the things that are stressing me, bogging me down. I'm worried, I'm tired, I'm stressed. Let me drink, let me smoke, let me pop this pill real fast. And then once I do all that, then I know that the worries are gone. I get, higher. I get to run away from what's going on, because you take so much of it, you just forget everything. You see it all the time. People turn into like these zombified versions of themselves, basically slurring words, can't recall memories, can't think, sometimes can't walk straight, sobriety tests and shit like that. And outside looking in, it's just like, how the hell could you enjoy that type of feeling? Why would you enjoy being in such a state where it feels as if you're not in control of yourself? But in a way, it's just like the removal from the sense of self it's comforting in a way, because if I don't have to control myself, then I'm not myself. And if I'm not myself, then I don't have to deal with what I'm dealing with. And I feel, higher and higher. And, maybe that's cool, because, it's not like everyone that uses substances is just doomed to abuse it. You have social drinkers and social smokers. Sometimes people just want a little bit more. Sometimes it's nice to just have that little extra energy, or it helps me to relax. You can go to the bar or go to a party with some friends, have a couple drinks, and next thing you know, you're super, red in the face and you're giggly. And you're just like, yeah, that's just, that's nice. That's pretty fun. But they only do it once in a while. And that's like the kicker. That's the part that really makes all the difference. They only do it once in a while. So they haven't rewired their brain, and they're not allowing themselves to either. You can drink once a week or whatever, and your brain won't get like super attached to, the idea of what it truly means to you to be drunk, assuming that you are a happy drunk or whatever substance it might be. You're just having fun. It's a one time. Your dopamine, I believe it's dopamine. Dopamine's the happy one. I always get dopamine and serotonin mixed up. But your little happy receptors are still pretty normal. Might peak out a little bit if you're drunk and you're at a party and something special happens. Just like, I'm having a fucking time of my life. Like, this is amazing. But it's still comparable to all the other regular activities in your life. But like, when you pop pills every single day, when you smoke every single day, when you drink every single day, if it ain't physically addictive, it's going to be psychologically addictive, because your brain will start to latch on to what seems to be its common normality, basically. So if I sit here and I drink every day, I smoke every day, I pop pills every day, whatever it might be, then my brain will be like, okay, so this is like the normal state for you. This is where you want to be. And that's also how people can start leaning into, taking more every single time, because your brain just starts to get used to it. That's just what it will always try to do. If you try to take it so often, if you want to smoke a joint every single night, give it some time. That one joint won't affect you. You're going to have to start smoking 1.5, 2. If you can only handle, a couple shots, or like, I guess a better way is, if you can only handle 3 beers, over time, you're eventually going to be able to start handling 4, 5, 6. It goes up. Same, it goes with pills. The body starts to get used to it, and your happiness and your sadness receptors will start to adjust accordingly to it as well. But you can just keep taking more and more, and the highs will feel even higher the more you have this inner desire to run away from what you usually feel. But here's like the massive kicker, and this is what I believe in a way kind of perpetuates the cycle of struggling to get off of substances, which is, the more you push the bar for happiness higher and higher and higher. You are allowing yourself to fall lower, lower, and lower. Because let's just say you go on this insane binge and you spend 1 week completely fucked up, out of your mind. And it's just like, you can just sit there and just realize, like, that is the greatest week of my entire life. And I want every single week to be like that. The moment you tell yourself that, and the moment you have that, like, true recognition, not just mentally, but like deep down, unconsciously, you're going to start to become jaded with the reality that you already live in, or that you currently live in. And it's just like, the brain starts to get frustrated and confused. It tells itself like, oh wait, I can't just naturally feel that. I can't naturally be that high. Well, fuck, this shit sucks. And, you know, your brain will just start to feel bogged down. Your lows will get lower. You could be someone that, you can consider yourself a relatively neutral person when it comes to happiness. You can abuse drugs for a month and you probably won't be able to just like sit there properly with yourself anymore. Your brain chemistry just goes fucking AWOL. It goes everywhere. It goes everywhere. I've seen it in the people around me. Hell, I see it in myself. I see it in a lot of fashions, in a lot of ways. Because like, hell, like, you know, truth be completely honest here, I am currently in a cycle where I'm trying to break out of, I guess, the excessive amount of thrill seeking that I do. Because I've been sitting here for, see, let me back up, going back to like conversations with friends for a second here. This is how I knew I need to start breaking myself out, because I was talking to one of my friends and like, she tries to like keep me like accountable. Like, you know, she worries about me. So we were talking one night and she just asked me like questions. She was just like, Hazy, when was the last time that you were sober? And I remember just like kind of laughing it off and just being like, oh, you know, I think like 3 months ago or something like that. But like deep down in my head, I had to have like a serious talk with myself, and the following days ensued that as well. I couldn't remember the last time that I was sober. And in fact, it wasn't even like because like when I say sober, I mean 24 hours of sobriety. But like, you know, for like the most part of it, it was just, oh, I'll drink to wind down my night. And by drinking to wind down the night, I mean, what? Because I wake up at noon. So noon to midnight, I'd be fine. And then after midnight, I let the fucking demons come out to play. And I would drink until about 5 a.m. when I would go to bed. And my goal was to always get fucking blackout drunk, basically. A lot of nights where I couldn't even make it to my bed, and someone in the house would find me just, you know, passed out, God knows wherever I was at the time. And that was my goal. But it was just like, you know, 4 or 5 hours. Mid-September, or I guess like October, it's a better way to put it. So from beginning of October to now, so I'm coming up on a month and a half. Let's just be easy with ourselves here. In the last month and a half, I went from being like, you know, inebriated for 4 or 5 hours, give or take, to I've had many days where I was only sober for like 3, maybe 4 hours, 5 if I'm pushing limits here. I would be perpetually fucked up because I just did not want to face any part of reality. And every single time the reality would start to get closer to me, I would just go harder on the drugs. Oh, I'm on my final hours of work. Let's get high a little bit. Get high. The thoughts are coming back. Well, that means I should probably get higher. They're coming back again after an hour. Time to start drinking. And I was just going. And I would still have the end goal every single time when I was drinking as well. I would always try to send myself to a place where, like, I wasn't even a person. I wanted to be like damn near a mannequin, basically. And I mean, shit, it was that way for a while. I think last week or something like that. Last week, no, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So like the first week in November, I don't think I made it to my bed a single night that week. Or I think I was like 5 for 7 on passing out at my desk or passing out under my desk, or hell, I feel like I passed down in a different room. I don't even recall it. And, you know, when you get that fucked up, you wake up fucked up too. So, to say that I was even sober for 3-4 hours in the day at that point, I don't even think that'd be completely honest. Because I would wake up and still feel completely loopy, whether it's drunk, high, or both. Didn't matter. And I would do the same thing. The moment it all starts to kind of like wear off me, I would just feel like myself start to take like a mental plunge, because it's not even like it's a mental plunge because I'm from neutral and I'm just getting sad. I would just start plunging because the fake amount of happiness in my body from being inebriated was starting to wear off. I was just turning back into who I am at the current moment. And I didn't like that. I didn't want that. So once I started feeling it wear off, I would just go back into it, and I would just, the cycle continues. It's just a circle. Get high, get drunk, get high, get drunk, get high, get drunk, pass out, wake up, exist for a little bit, it's wearing off. Get high, get drunk, get high, get drunk, get high, get drunk. I don't think I have to really. Yeah, I hope you get the gist. Very, very, very fucked up. Very, very, very fucked up. Because the high was fucking. I mean, the high is nice, and or it seems to be nice. Let me not say it's nice. It seems to be nice. I can understand. If every once in a while you don't want to just be you in full, which goes back to like social drinking or anything like that. Have a drink once in a while, smoke once in a while. I'm not recommending anything past that, all right? If you're on medication, legally prescribed medication, take it on the schedule that your doctor advises you to, and I would just avoid all alcohol use in general. But, the only things I will ever really talk about in the semblance of, I guess, recreational use will just be either drinking or smoking weed. And, you can do it every once in a while, and I think you'll be all right. You'll be all right. But, you do this shit every single day. It's just like you forget what being truly happy in your own skin feels like, because you don't feel like you're in your own skin. That's the point. It's just like, I don't want to say you become something you aren't or someone you aren't necessarily, but I'd argue damn near it feels that way in some sort of way. It's just like you're not even yourself when, you're past the normal. You're past the normal, the quote unquote socially acceptable normality of inebriation. I just used some big ass words. I don't know why I just did that, but hopefully that makes some semblance of sense. You just rewire your brain, man. You just rewire that shit, and you just get mad stuck. It's like, because it's been, I don't want to say it's been that way for a while, but I guess as I've one, grown up, and two, have gotten worse with my habits, and I've also seen the worst habits develop in people around me, or just simply becoming retrospective and seeing the habits be built up in like the people around me as well. I've always tried to wonder, just like, well, where does this, I guess, like, where does it kind of come from, in a sense? Like, why are people around me, like, making such, terribly self-destructive decisions. And, you know, it's super self-destructive from an outside looking in perspective. You know, you can see someone getting, you know, fucking babbling drunk every single day, every single night for a fucking month. And it's clear to you that they're fucking up. They're making bad decisions. But in their head, they might just think that, like, oh, you know, this is normal. This is fine. To be honest, I know I've had situations where I've just told my friends that I need to do this because otherwise it's going to get fucking terrible, which was a clear sign that I really needed some fucking therapy at that moment. I'm not going to lie. Trying to advocate for using like substance abuse because advocating for substance abuse because you just feel like you need to not do anything worse. I really should have just fucking checked myself in, like, you know, right then and there. Not about to sit here and tell my friends that they should have done it for me, because I mean, they can't do anything, and it's not up to them to do it either. I am speaking on it, well aware currently, and just knowing that, like, oh yeah, that was probably like a very bad, like, you know, cry out for help. But no, you know, I try to think about what gets people stuck into these cycles and things like that. And I mean, one, it's kind of bad for me because I've kind of realized that I'm a binge drinker. Binging just means like I just won't stop. Like I will not stop. It does not matter. I mean, I think that's just I would argue that's almost just in general. Even if I was to take my mental health issues out, I just have an issue with fucking stopping. But I mean, in a general sense, for drinking for myself personally, I still need to do a lot more digging to understand it and some of the people around me, just for the sake of I like having answers about these type of things at times. I try to run away. Like it's just always trying to run away, I guess. I guess that's a common theme in my life. You know, it's just like thoughts start to show up, or circumstances start to appear and happen in one's life where you just want any type of escape, whether it just be, I guess it's like buying time, but to the user, it doesn't even seem like buying time because you would just pray that it just disappears completely. Spoiler alert, I hate to be the one to break it to you. It doesn't go away. That situation will not go away because you decided to drink or smoke yourself into an oblivion for 1, 2, 3, 6 months. When you're done, it'll just all come back. And not only will all come back, you're gonna have to deal with some more issues. The more issues being whatever the hell you just did during that fucking binge, trying to avoid the first issue in the first place. It's a giant snowball. I love that analogy. I talk about it. I use it all the time. It's a snowball. Mental health is always going to be a snowball. The more you run away, the more you pile up, and you cannot afford to snowball. It will come back to bite you, whether you are even aware that it's hitting you or not. It will show up. It will show up. But I think that's the reason that, you know, I've run to substances, and I think that's, I mean, as far as I'm aware, that's damn near what everyone does. One of the common things I always use as a statement when people try to talk about doing drugs and things like that around me is a perfectly happy person wouldn't use them. Is that a correct statement or not? I honestly don't know. And to be honest, I think the only reason why I say I don't know is also because I've never met a perfectly happy person. Does that exist? Probably somewhere in life. Am I that person? Hell no. Not happy. Not a happy person. Not a happy camper at all. You know, shit happens. Shit happens in life. And I think I think the circumstances in which you get into substances will kind of really shift your perception of it and how you use it. Because some people just are able to use it completely recreationally. Someone can go through their entire adolescence, praise be, and hopefully, they don't do any drugs until they're of legal age. Now they're 21 and free. They decide to try drinking on their own accord. And because they're trying it on their own accord, and they're just like, oh, like they say, I'm curious about alcohol. That's like a golden ticket. Your eyes should light up yellow, basically, if someone says that. I still try to push people to not try in the first place, but like, I've always enjoyed it when some friends who gotten of age have told me like, I think I want to try drinking, because it's just like, hey, fuck it. You know what? If you want to try drinking just for the sake of understanding what it feels like to be drunk, then go for it. Just be careful. Have someone who actually cares for you be there for you as well. Drink in controlled environments and things like that. Designate a driver too if you're doing it publicly. This, that, and the third. All the good things you should hear. In a stark contrast to someone who turns 21 and wants to just figure out what drinking feels like for the sake of feeling what it's like to drink. I started drinking when I was 13 because I was getting fucking stressed, and I would see the people around me act differently when they were drunk, and I was curious in the sense that I just wanted to escape what the hell I was feeling. It wasn't because I just thought it was fun. In fact, I always talk about the shit. I demonized alcohol growing up because I would still just see, like, it would be like sometimes I see the fun in it, and other times, but most of the time, in the memories that would stick with me, the ones that still haunt me to this day, is moments of people on alcohol doing the fucking worst shit I could imagine. To an extent, I would fucking hate this shit, but I got down to my fucking lowest moment in that point, and I decided, back against the wall, fuck it, I'm gonna try whatever I can think of to get out of this. Was it the right decision? Hell no. Should have went to therapy. I don't know why I'm laughing about that shit. That shit's so real. I should have just went to therapy. Confided in friends more, journaled. A lot of shit that I'll preach now, and a lot of things that I try to do with myself constantly, especially in my current fight to try to escape my substance abuse habits. I think I, at the very least, could have held off on it. If not, and really hope I did, take an alternative approach to dealing with what was going on in that moment. I didn't know any better, and quite honestly, I was super fucking desperate because I didn't want to deal with the present moment. And I mean, at 13 for me too, it was just like 13 was like a year where or 13 was a year when I was 13. So whatever year that was a year where like the walls of the present were really caving in for me. And I was finally of age where I can actually start to reflect on things that have happened to me previously. So I was like a fucking double whammy. It was just like the past, triple whammy, fuck it. Past, present, and future was all hitting me. I'm in high school trying to figure out, I'm trying to figure out career path. I'm trying to figure out if I want to transfer to this other school and worried about what that other school will do to me. My time was being eaten up by after school programs and weekend programs. Family life was going to hell. Memories of family life and, friendships and relationships from back then. That shit, I felt locked in a cage, and I made the first decision that came to mind. I definitely regret it. But regret doesn't matter at this point. I made my decision. I have to just learn on how to deal with it as time goes on. I cannot allow myself to be stuck in my past. I have to allow myself and learn how to accept what happened at face value. Eliminate the idea of ruminating about what happened. as nice as it is to sit here and tell myself, but if I did this, then it could have went this way, or I wonder why this person did this. They could have just done this, and they're known for doing that. And then if they did this one thing instead of what they actually did, then life would have been better. Like, okay, like, sure. Let's just say for a moment that if you can sit here, think about moments in your past and, infer that things would have been better. Now what? What does it get you? What have you gained from supposedly figuring out the solution, quote unquote, to your past? Nothing. Because, in fact, at that point, all you do is get more pissed off because now you have this idea of what reality could have been from actions that you think could have occurred despite, you're living in the future. You know more shit now than you did back then. And so same thing for everyone else. You are essentially just taking guesses at alternative timelines for your past with a strong bias on it being heavily favored towards your interest and your interest alone. But once you even have that next to you, there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do with it because it's not real. And that doesn't make digesting what actually happened in the past any easier by any means either. But, the more effort, the more work, the more effort you can do to just kind of try to accept whatever has happened is, fuck, it's really the only thing you can do. The more you run from it, the worse it gets. The more you run from it, the worse it gets. Things will just come back to bite you at seemingly random times, even if it will bite you at seemingly random times. Like, I don't want to speak on this just yet at this moment in my life. Maybe, in like a year or two, this story will finally, come out to light, wherever it might be. But all I can say is there's someone close to me in life, very close to me in life. And they now are remembering a very significant moment in their life about around this year. The event happened half their life ago, and I'm using that. It is a true way to explain it, but I'm also just trying to mask everything. But it was a trauma response. They completely blocked out the memory of a very significant very significant event in their life. And it's now coming back to bite them. Take their age divided by 2. And, that's how old they were when it happened. Now they're here, double their age from then. And it just shows up, And I'm not going to say that maybe they tried to run, maybe they didn't. I'm not going to sit here and take guesses on if they actually tried to do anything to not think about it, or if, their brain just, took measures to protect them. But that's just what trauma does to people. The memories will just show up sometimes, and maybe they don't. Who knows? But running from the past, that shit gonna send you into some sort of binge, because that person in mind, you guessed it, they're an alcoholic too. And shit, if it ain't the past that gonna eat you, it's gonna be the future. I don't want to say too much about the future though. I feel like I've talked about it enough before, but I definitely, want to get, that might be next episode's thing, low key. That might be next episode's thing, where I focus on talking about, trying to handle the future and to not run away from it. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head if I addressed it, but the fact that concept is so heavy on my heart and heavy on my mind right now, even if I have seen that concept through, I'm gonna have to come back to it. But let's just get to the bread and butter, the main focus, the only other thing to focus on other than recognizing that recognize that you're thrill seeking, or thrill chasing, whichever one you want to say. Recognize why you're thrill chasing, thrill seeking. Excuse me for a moment here. So there's a third and final thing to talk about, which is, how the hell can I feel happy again? Quite honestly, how do I feel happy again? How do I quit this shit? How do I escape this cycle? And I guess this kind of taps into what I was just trying to dance around, but like, what does the future look like? What does the future look like at that point? Because the more you get into, substances and things like that, but I think just in general, I don't think anyone just has a crystal clear, alkaline vision of what the future looks like. So people have like some goals that like super far shot out, but that's about it. And even then, I guess that's not even the majority of people. A lot of people live day by day, whether that just be, normality or just a survival instinct for them. A lot of people don't really dream out that far, but especially when you're on drugs and you're just doing drugs a lot and just over and over and over again, it's kind of hard to just quit, because when you just think about quitting, it's just like, one, that shit hard. That shit hard, and the initial downfalls of trying to fucking quit is very demoralizing. It's very destructive at times, but like, you try to quit this shit, you just like, you sit there and you feel terrible, you make terrible decisions, and you just feel so terrible, you just feel so low that you just ask yourself that question: how can I feel happy again? If you use the drugs, if you do all these terrible things to yourself because it feels like it's the only thing that can make you happy, if you tell yourself that's the only thing that can make you happy, and then you make that executive decision to stop doing said thing, what is the happiness? Where is the happiness? Where can I find it? What can I do for it? And this is the part where it gets really fucked up for me here. This is the part where it gets very fucked up. And that's because I don't have a lot of experience with quitting. I don't have a lot of experiences with quitting things, or at least not the drugs that made me like stupid fucking happy. In terms of like the ones that have made me like stupid happy, it's alcohol and weed. And I've quit smoking a couple times. In fact, I just picked it up last month for like the first time in 4 years, I guess. I would smoke on and off in the last 4 years, but 2018, 2019 was like when I was like, smoking chief and like big time every single day, showing up to class high, all that shit. I enjoyed the shit a lot. But even back then, high school me had that like epiphany. It's just like, I like, this shit's fun and all, this shit's cool and all, but I'll never be truly happy if I'm taking drugs like this all the time. And I want to just be comfortable in my own skin. I want to be happy just being me. It's the only long-standing thing I can do, like, for myself, or I'll be better off for it in the long run. In fact, I have a better odd at I would have better odds at seeing the long run if I could just be happy being me, completely me, and only me. Because when I'm high or when I'm drunk, I don't feel like me. So I quit. And I remember just quitting, and I mean, it was way fucking easier for me back then when I was way younger. I don't fully remember how I was able to just do this shit, because I was still surrounded by it too. I just told my friends one day, I was just like, hey, I want to quit smoking. Don't offer me this shit. Don't offer me this shit. I ain't saying you gotta hide it away from me. I don't think I'm gonna be like that. But like, if I ask for this shit, like really question me and just, Like, maybe hold me to it a little bit, but that's like it. And I would still hang around all my friends. And they, rotations going all around me. They would have to hand it to me so I can hand it to the people, who's next in rotation, all that shit. And sometimes they look at me and just like, Hazy, you don't want no hit? And I'm just like, no, I'm good. I was able to quit it. But I think the main thing that always got me out of everything, not even just substances, I think you want to fill the void. That's what it is. Because the drugs fill a void. All right. It's the void of being happy. You don't feel happy. You want to take drugs, or you want to feel happier, which probably just means that you weren't happy and you want to feel happier. Some people get into relationships, they do drugs, they do a lot of things. A lot of people do weird decisions, bad decisions, fucked up decisions because they want to fill a gap in their life. And drugs, for me, always has been filling in a gap in my life. Whatever it might be, whatever the hell it might be. I've had nights where I was drinking I was drinking and smoking just because it helped with creativity. And I think that's honestly, in comparison, that's a fine thing to do. In comparison, it's a fine thing to do. It did help. It did work. It wasn't like I was going crazy on it. I just wanted to be a little bit out of it so I can think of concepts that I don't usually think about. But even then, the creativity would come from odd places. I feel like overall I have gotten more creative by just pushing myself in random areas and doing other things to achieve that void, to fill that void, other than having to take substances. All right. Let me not drink myself to death here tonight, or, I ain't even gotta take, these couple shots, take these couple hits just so I can figure out what type of picture I want to paint tonight. Let me just go walk around, or let me just go walk around. Let me go see something I haven't seen. Let me go look up. Let me go ask friends and people around me. Let's just have conversation. Tell me about something that inspires you. What do you hold true to yourself? And we would have deep conversations where it would like unlock memories and feelings for me. I can get that creativity, and it would just fill that void. There, boom, knocking off the list. I didn't have to do drugs for this shit. You just want to always replace it, because you just want to feel good. You just want to feel good when you're thrill chasing. Doesn't matter where it comes from. It just so happens that drugs are the easiest way to get the shit. But easy doesn't make it good or acceptable by any means either. So, yeah, like the best when it comes to quitting, the first question you really always have to ask yourself is, well, why the hell am I chasing so hard? Like, what do I feel like I'm missing in my life to the point where, I'm doing this shit? What am I missing, or what am I running from? And then once you figure those things out, consider the options and then really stick with any of them that pushes you towards a better place, whether it be mentally or physically. Hopefully both in some cases. I guess, in both cases, something that would just be way better for you. Like, I chase my highs, I do my drugs, I drink my drinks, because at this point, I don't want to deal with the future. I know the future is the thing that really, haunts my mind for a plethora of reasons. A lot of different reasons in my head where it's just like, oh, I don't really want to think about that, because, future is pretty fucking scary. You never know what the future looks like. You could only be, a hopeless fucking soul. Even though, did I say hopeless? Hopeful, excuse me. I don't know. I pray I didn't say hopeless. All you can do is be a hopeful soul, just do the best you can to push the cards of the future into your favor, and otherwise just keep truck moving, and we'll see what we see, and we'll get there when we get there. we'll get there when we fucking get there. But, I have a lot of issues with the future, and I don't want to think about it a lot. So I will just drink until the next day shows up, because it just feels like it passes the time. But, sometimes I have to sit here and ask myself and, truly, hammer it down in my head. And I hammer it in my head because I feel at times I don't feel comfortable, and I'll ask a friend to help me with it. But usually I can sit here with myself and ask myself the deep and dark questions. Otherwise, I'd go see a therapist. And quite honestly, I still should go see a therapist. And I think I will make that decision sometime soon, because I've really been trying to get fully in the bag of being a true friend to myself. But no, I have to sit here, and I have a countless sticky notes and entries and journals and all these things. Just what about the future am I afraid of? And why the fuck am I drinking myself to death here? Basically, under the guise of feeling happier, because it's not happy. I wake up feeling like shit afterwards, which just makes me want to drink even more. Come on now. And I just realized that it's a mixture between just being uncertain about what the future looks like, because I'm afraid about the fact that I feel like I don't put enough effort into the things I claim to care about. And on top of it, I just feel like I still do have some things bottled up in me that I want to express. And trying to find proper ways to express it is something that I've been trying to lean into more as a means to potentially feel better, get some of, because I think I've done relatively well with facing the realities of my past, and even some of my present moment issues. I think I've done pretty well with it, but I've accepted it, but I haven't I've accepted it, but I haven't been able to truly get rid of it. I haven't been able to dispel that fear, either of those issues. So I've just been, running around trying to figure out what can I do to, drop some of the weight that doesn't have to be here anymore. I don't have questions about it. I just sit there and I just think about it all the time, though. So I've been trying to find things to do with that. And, I hope with every new experience, I'll feel similar highs to, some of the more relatively duller nights, but when I'm just fucked up wasted, I'm just quote unquote having fun because I can't think straight, And one of the things I've actually gotten into lately, or one of the things I plan to get into, because I ordered it technically yesterday, I want to get into photography more. I want to get into photography. I think it gives me a good way to keep memories physical for myself, because I do like that, because I bought a Polaroid camera, or it's a Fujifilm, but instant film, I guess is the way to describe the type of camera. But I get to take the pictures. I get to be creative with how the picture comes out, and what do I want to name it, where do I put it. I've always kind of liked playing around with photography, especially because it's an excuse to be outside and to just run around, get fresh air, do different things, because otherwise I'll sit at this computer for 16 hours a fucking day. And even just the idea of photography has kind of been plaguing my mind all of today. I'm super, super fucking excited to get this camera. Some of the things I can do with the pictures too, I'm I get fucking giddy. And it's crazy I get so giddy about this, because all the regular shit I do has not made me this giddy fucking ever. I have spent the last week or a couple months trying to find new games to play, which is right in the realm of my normality. And all this shit just pisses me off, and I'm so used to it, and I'm so bored. But buying that camera was probably one of the easiest $300 I've spent in the last year or so. Easily has to be one of the easiest purchases I've made, because I just think that it will help me. The one thing that really does make me feel happy, makes my heart flutter and skip a beat, is the idea of just being creative. Not only in the sake of being creative just to be creative, but using it as a tool of self-expression. Because when I'm able to express myself, I'm able to finally put certain ideas to rest in my head. It's just like I got it out. The same way that I used to just journal, and I still do journal a lot to get certain ideas out. Like once it's out there in the air in some sort of physical form, it feels as if I'm finally free from it. And at this point, I'm just curious, if I try to be creative in as many fields as possible, will there be a day where it just kind of all finally goes away? I think that what works for me. And I'm chasing that. I'm chasing that. And I just kind of urge, at least because this is from personal opinion, outside of everything I've said earlier, just like maybe pick up some type of craft and just go hard in it in your free time, just for the sake of it. See how you feel about it. If you don't want to do it, find something else to do. But I think experimenting with all the things life has to offer, not the bad things, no substances. That's the whole goal here, is getting away from that type of shit. But I think like kind of experimenting with some of the, nicer, more beautiful things that life can offer, has to offer, might provide you with the type of highs and experiences, connections, relationships, and feelings that you might be leading and looking for within substances. So, get out there, experiment with shit, not drugs. Fuck that noise. But, get out there, experiment, play around, try to find your highs in any place that isn't from a bottle, a pill bottle, however the hell you get your weed. I'm not going to ask any questions, Find the things that truly make you happy instead of destructive thrill chasing.